You wanted to know what contractions feel like, and everyone's telling you they feel like period cramps, but you haven't had a period for years, and so you just can't relate to that. And there are a lot of different sensations that women associate with contractions. The most common sensation associated with contractions is indeed lower abdominal cramping or like really intense period cramps. But you probably will also feel a lower backache. You'll have abdominal tightening and pressure. And some people also feel pains in their thighs too, like they've just ran a marathon, but they haven't exercised for 9 months. And so these are the most common sensations that women associate with contractions. And you feel abdominal tightening and pressure because your uterus is actually a big muscle and it's tightening and you have no control over this. It's involuntary. It just tightens and it releases, and this is caused by different hormones and changes in your body. You may hear some women say that they had really bad back labor. And so that just means that along with the tightening and pressure and cramping, they also had really intense back pain. It's experienced like right where your back meets your butt cheeks. It's just really achy, and sometimes it feels better for someone to rub it. And I think it's always good to be prepared for labor pain to be the worst pain you've had in your life up to that point. At least I hope that's the worst pain you've had to experience in your life up to that point. That way you won't be caught off guard by it. And when you come to the hospital to be checked, we will ask you, what's your pain on a scale from 0 to 10? And it's good to be realistic about it and to remember that a 10 is like surgery with no anesthesia. It's the worst pain you could ever imagine having, not the worst pain you've had in your life. Because if you compare it to the worst pain you've had in your life, then you'll probably feel like it's like a 13, 14, 15, and the scale ends at 10. I was a labor and delivery nurse for a lot of years, and women would come in and rate their pain at a 10, and then we'd check their cervix, and they were only 1 centimeter dilated and ultimately ended up getting sent home. And so obviously their pain scale would have to readjust a little bit, and they'd realize that it's going to get worse. And so realistically, by the time they were sent home, they were like, okay, I guess my pain's like a 5 or a 6. I think when you're thinking about the pain scale, it's good to think about like a headache. Everyone's experienced a headache at some point and wanted to take some Tylenol for it. And I think the point at which most people want to take a Tylenol so that it won't get worse is like maybe a 4 or a 5. And so that's kind of how you should think about contractions. At what point is it starting to affect your ability to function? Because once you're in like the 7, 8, 9, 10 range, you cannot function. And so you can't say your pain's an 8 while talking or texting or laughing during contractions, because at an 8, you're not functional. You have to stop whatever you're doing and focus on the pain in order to cope with it during the contraction. It's really all about intensity and frequency. You may have contractions that aren't that intense. You may just experience a little bit of abdominal tightening and pressure, and these may happen a few times a day earlier on in the pregnancy. And these are, by definition, Braxton Hicks contractions. They're infrequent and uncomfortable, but not painful. But they are indeed contractions. It's the uterus squeezing and tightening. But there is going to be a point at which the squeezing and tightening is more intense and they're happening more frequently. And the true definition of labor is cervical dilation from hour to hour as a result of regular and intense contractions. So again, you're looking for lower abdominal cramping, lower backache, abdominal tightening, pressure, and sometimes pain in your thighs. Those are the sensations associated with contractions. And if you are less than 37 weeks along and feeling like you're contracting 4 to 5 times an hour, which is only every 10 to 15 minutes, then you should actually be checked out, because the whole point is we don't want your cervix to be changing as a result of contractions because you're still early, and it could put your baby at risk if you were to deliver prematurely. And so your doctor will want the chance to slow or stop them. And so it's better to go in sooner rather than later. But once you're full term or 37 weeks and beyond, you can go to the hospital once they're happening like every 4 to 5 minutes and they're actually hurting and you're needing to breathe through them, because that's usually what it takes in order for your cervix to change. If you have more specific questions about it, talk with your doctor and they'll be able to give you tailored information and advice. If you have more questions in the future for me, feel free to ask them on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Intermountain Moms, and recommend us to your friends and family too.